Hey, everybody. Welcome to Top of the Stack. I'm your host, Chester Elton, co-author with my good friend, Adrian Gosdick of All In, the Carrot Principle, Leading with Gratitude and Anxiety at Work. And I love that you're joining us just for a few minutes here today. I get these books every now and again, and you read them and you go, you know what? This book is too good to just keep to myself. I've got to share this with our followers because in reading those books, you feed your brain with good stuff. It just makes you a better leader and it makes you a better person. Well, the latest and greatest book that I've been reading is from a dear friend of mine, Garry Ridge. He's the chairman emeritus of WD-40. Look, I know everybody's got a cancer. I never have one too far away from me, WD-40, right? He built an amazing culture there. And normally I would say, hey, look, this is what I've been reading. You should be reading it too. And then I do a little summation. Well, today I have a real special treat for you because the author and my dear friend, Garry Ridge, is available. And so we're going to bring him in and have a conversation about his latest and greatest book. Any dumbass can do it. Welcome, Garry. We are so delighted to have time with you, man.
Hey, g'day, Ches. It's always great to be with you. Thank you so much for having me along.
Yeah. Well, listen, it just came out. It's number 10 on the USA Today bestseller list. Congratulations. There you go. Yeah, you're going to frame that and send it to all your family members for sure. And, I just so appreciate the subtitle. Subtitles of books is what it's really about. This learning moments from an everyday CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. But, to start off, like, why did you write this book? Why now? And what was the backstory?
Yeah, thanks, Ches. As you and I both know, organizations and businesses have the opportunity to truly make a positive difference in people's lives. And unfortunately, cultures in a lot of organizations do not do that. And I've often said, imagine a place where you go to work every day, you make a contribution to something bigger than yourself, you learn something new, you're protected and set free by a compelling set of values, and you go home happy. Happy people create happy families create happy communities create a happy world, and a little happier world right now would not be a bad thing. So my inspiration really came probably as you and I talked as we went through COVID, and we were doing all we can to make sure people felt like they belonged and they mattered in organizations. And you helped us out so much at WD-40 when I was there with some of the work we did. But even looking at family and friends, I see people who, come and talk to me and say, I in this toxic culture that I'm in, and I come home and I'm exhausted, and my mental well-being is, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, it doesn't have to be that way. We proved that didn't have to be that way at WD-40 Company. And I just went through my 25-year apprenticeship in leadership. So I thought it was time to put it to work. I am now the Dean of Dumbassery. And the inspiration was, if just a few leaders can take some of this and turn it into action in their organizations, we are going to help people have a better life. And as you know, life's a gift, and we don't want to send it back unwrapped, Chester. So that's
Exactly.
why I did it.
Yeah, we've known each other for a long time, and we did some really fun projects together. I have to tell you, one of my favorite stories about Garry is we're part of this Marshall Goldsmith 100 Coaches, and we were in Arizona, I believe. Yeah, down in Phoenix. And we had this training we were trying to, pilot and everything. And I said to Garry, we'd presented together and we'd kind of struck up an immediate friendship. And I said, hey, can I ask you for a favor? And this sums up Garry Ridge to a T. He said, okay, but be really careful what you ask for. And I thought, have I overstepped our bounds? And I said, well, why is that? And he said, because I'm going to say yes. And I went, what a giving, wonderful guy. Hey, listen, you've already sold a book on our Todd Kamens just said, hey, my book was delivered. I can't wait to read it. So thank you, Todd, for buying the book. And listen, if you've got any questions for Garry, this is a great forum to ask everything and anything from Garry. He just talked about this positive culture. Now, I love the chapter heads in your book. First off, as you've picked up, Garry is not from Brooklyn, New York. He's from Australia and he's got that wonderful Australian accent. I do love that you start your book off with "G'day, mate." I mean, you start every conversation with "G'day," and it's, "Hey, are you okay?" This idea of a leader that cares about people over and above just showing up to go to work. That's really part of building a positive culture, isn't it? Is, hey, are you okay?
Yeah, and it's really a part of really reinforcing that people matter, and I've said it over and over again, and I know you believe this to be true, Chester, is people in organizations, if they know and feel like they belong, and if they know and feel like they matter, then they are people who are going to be engaged and enthusiastic and loved in their organization. So instead of, running into someone's office because they haven't met their sales target and says, listen, why haven't you met your sales target? Blah, 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 blah. Maybe a conversation is, Chester, I know you, and you haven't met your sales target the last couple of months. And are you okay? Is everything okay? What's on your mind? What's getting in your way? So I think that's the start of really building that psychological safety or that trust in an organization, because everybody's going through their own personal journey that we probably don't know about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, listen, my dad was very much in that camp. He says, "Hey, you be good to everybody. Everybody's got something."
yeah.
And it's really true. Todd, the latest buyer of this wonderful book, available at fine bookstores everywhere and online, he said, "I'm listening from Boston. Great question. How do you get buy-in from all the levels in the organization? Because you mentioned in your book that, especially when it came to learning moments, that you can say that, hey, it's okay to make a mistake and so on. And then somebody makes a mistake and they get their heads ripped off. So, you talk about that it takes time, that you need to do a few things. Share that with us."
Yeah, this whole concept is simple. It's not easy,
Right.
and time is not your friend. So consistency is so important. I have a dear friend. His name's Charlie Maloof. He has a chain of Ashley furniture stores out in North Carolina. And he said something to me ages ago. He said, culture is not a microwavable event. It takes a crock pot approach. And that is so true. So that you firstly have to know the ingredients to put in the crock pot, and then you have to be prepared to cook it every day, every day, every day. So, fish rot from the head. And if you're not leading with the living of what you're preaching, then nobody's going to believe it. And it's like when we introduced the learning moment into the company many years ago. It was, I think, 2002. And I remember when I started talking about it around the fact that a learning moment is a positive or negative outcome that needs to be openly, freely shared to benefit all people. And I want to hear them, and we're going to reward and applaud the great things, and we're going to learn from the bad things that didn't work. And I heard sort of whispers in the background, yeah, sure you are.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
bushy. Yeah. Ha, 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 ha,
Wait till I make a mistake. Yeah.
ha.
Let's see what happens.
So we had to prove it. And this is what we did, Chester. We started a program where I said, okay, for 12 months, I want people to email me their positive and negative learning moments. And we're going to have monthly prizes. And at the end of the year, we're going to have a big grand prize. We're going to send 2 people around the world, first class, as the end. Well, the first month, I got 4 entries.
Right. It wasn't safe.
So what did I do with those 4 people? I made heroes out of them. I rewarded them and I applauded them. Everywhere I went, I talked about them. I put them on stage. The next month, I got 12. And and then by the end of the year, I was getting like 100 or so, entries, because people felt safe. So as you know, you can blah, 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 blah all you want. But unless you walk the talk, people are not going to believe you.
Absolutely. This is what I love about Garry, for all of you that have tuned in. And by the way, Damiola, I hope I said that right, from the Netherlands. I'm wearing the orange just for you. I just want to let you know. But this the learning moment is a positive or negative outcome for any situation that needs to be openly and freely shared to benefit all people. I could throw a bucket of ice cold water on you at 3:00 in the morning and you would say that. I mean, Garry just doesn't write it. He memorizes it. He lives it. And it is so interesting that you really do have to prove it out in moments. And, you go from 4 to hundreds because now it's safe. You also have a best practice on creating a positive culture, in that you meet people at the door first thing, or you did when you were the CEO. Why did you do that?
Because great leaders spend time in the stinky locker room. And, I could have been upstairs in my closed office doing something that wasn't important, but I wanted them to be there to welcome them. I wanted to see their smile. I wanted to show them that they mattered and that I felt about them. And I'd often sincerely inquire about them. Hey, Ches, how's, so and so, or what did you do? And what was your weekend like? I wanted them to come there knowing that they really belonged to something and they mattered. And really, what did it take? Nothing. I mean,
A few
and
seconds.
honestly, I enjoyed it. I loved my people so much that I enjoyed them being there. I often said if I was ever going to buy a company, I would sit in the parking lot in the morning and I would watch people come to work. And if I saw them out of their car, walking up to the door, smiling, greeting each other, being happy, I'd say, that's the organization that I want to be part of. Then I'd be there in the evening and watch them leave. And I want to see if they come out the same way. And if they do, I'd say, that's it. We got it. This is the culture that we need.
And you're so right. It's a culture is built in those little moments. We think, culture is we got a foosball table, we've got snacks in the break room. No, it's those connections, those little moments. Which brings me to Charles Jones, also known as Chuck, who tuned in and said, so why do so many companies ignore positive cultures? Why do they not value that? What have you found?
That's the question that goes through my head. And I think it's because they're short-term thinking, ego gets in the way. And, a lot of people say, I want an immediate result from the action, as this doesn't happen immediately. But if you want to build an enduring company over time, it takes time to do that. And our friend Aristotle said, pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. And if, the Dalai Lama says, our purpose in life is to make people happy. If we can't make them happy, at least don't hurt them.
Right.
And why don't we want to do that in organizations? Because outcomes in organizations are very simple. You can have the best strategic plan in the world, Ches, but if you have a low level of what I call will of the people, so if only a small percentage of your people go to work every day and are enthusiastic because they know they matter and they know they belong around executing that strategy, low outcome. But if you've got a high number of people, high outcome. And I can call BS because we proved it. I know that purpose-driven people living their values produce amazing outcomes. I know that because we proved it. We had 98% of our people globally said they'd love to tell people they worked at WD-40 company. Why would you want to do that? We only just sell oil in a can. Why would you want to love working there?
It's so I love that you point that out because, we use your company and your leadership as case studies literally everywhere we go. And my comment to them is say, look, WD-40, it's grease in a can. It's not complicated. If you can create an engaged culture that really is creating forever memories, making life move a little more smoothly. If you can do it with grease in a can, you can do it with what you do. I don't care what it is you do. Bring meaning to work. I do love. I always ask people. Maybe we can ask our audience here. Who knows what WD-40 stands for? Put it in the chat box. We've all got a can, and it's always interesting to me that we don't have that little bit of curiosity to say, I wonder what that actually stands for. Why? And of course, when you talk about learning moments, you talk about water displacement 40th formula. To your point, it didn't happen on the first try.
No, and I'm glad it didn't happen on the 39th try.
Right.
Because I don't think 39 doesn't sound as good. But the other thing, and I know you've witnessed this with us because you've been out with us quite a few times, but also ceremony and tradition is so important. And you were with us at one of our leadership meetings where we all gathered around the fireplace and we wrote little notes and we let it go to the universe. And there was another thing that brought us together. At the beginning of our leadership meeting, we'd all get in an area, and those who chose to would have a glass of wine, and those who chose not to would have something else, and there would be an open fire, and everybody would write on a note on a 3x5 card something they wanted to let go to the universe. Either it was something that was positive, or maybe it was something they just wanted to get rid of in their life. And it's those sort of gatherings that actually bring people together to say, we're a group of people that come together to protect and feed each other, which was our just cause. And you were there, you witnessed it, you saw how that, before we got into talking about strategy or anything else, the first thing we did is we came together to unite ourselves, to bring our souls together. And that was so powerful.
Well, you talk about your tribal culture. We're not teammates. We're not associates. We're part of the tribe. We protect each other. We feed each other. I was so impressed in that ceremony at how personal people got very quickly. And it was clear they'd done it before, which was part of your ritual and tradition. How do you do that? You repeat it, right? Talking about health issues and family that had recently passed and how the company had rallied. It really was very moving. And of course, it was in the evening with the fire. It was very tribal, it really was.
Yes.
And I was just so moved by that. You're right, those traditions. Hey, so tell me, in your career, who was the leader that really unleashed, the Garry that we know today? Was there that one leader that saw something in you that helped you become the leader you are today?
Oh, without doubt, my dear friend, Ken Blanchard. Ken wrote the foreword to the book, and
he's right at the bottom.
my story was, and it's in, you've read it in the book. I was traveling down to Sydney, Australia. I read two quotes, one from the Dalai Lama, one from Aristotle, and I didn't know how to do what they were saying. And I got back to San Diego, and I learned about this master's degree that Ken had spearheaded with USD, and I'm already the CEO of a public company, so I went back to school. And that's where I met Ken, and we became very, very dear friends. He's 85, 86 now, and he's just one of those beautiful people in my life. And that's where I learned it. And Ken's funny. He said, well, you talk about three people. I'm in pretty shabby company, aren't I? Dalai Lama and Aristotle.
Yeah, and you've developed some really wonderful friends along the way. I mean, just look at the endorsements in the back. It's Simon Sinek, who I know you know very well, Adam Grant, Amy Edmondson, Hubert Joly, who is a mutual friend of ours, and of course, the wonderful Marshall Goldsmith, who's
and of course the wonderful Chester Elton and Adrian Kostic also on the inside.
There you go. Yeah, I will say, while these were impressive, my favorite one was ours. Yeah, in the inside, there's no doubt about it. Hey, we're already over time, but I don't want to cut our time short. You talk about a lot of things about overcoming challenges and so on. Tell me about this idea. Two things. One is, when you've got a leader that really is failing, and yet there's potential there, how do you pull them out of it? How do you pull them out of it? Because that's, it's easy to get in that rut. It's hard to get out of that rut. What are some of the things you've done that have worked?
I think that the number one thing is reinstate them that you have their back. You trust them, and a lot of people fall down because they're not clear about expectations of each other. So, I think the first one is, are you sincerely playing the true role of a coach or not? And I think a lot of players fail because they got really bad coaches. And, I talk about coaches a lot, as you know, and we called all our managers coaches, not managers. It's like you walk in the first day of work at W40 and say, "G'day, Ches, I'm here to manage you." Well,
yeah, right.
What about if you walk and say, "Hey, Ches, I'm here. I'm your coach. I'm here to help you play your best game. I'm here to support you. I'm not going to steal the ball from you. I'm not going to take the prize from you at the podium. I'm going to be there in the locker room with you. We're going to work out what it takes to win together, and I got your back." So I think a lot of people just need to know you got their back.
Yeah, this idea you're not alone. By the way, great question is, are we going to record this and make it available? Yes, we're going to post this on our LinkedIn channels, and you'll be able to listen to the whole thing. So thanks, Daya, for asking that question. I'm hoping that people will listen to it often. There's a lot of good stuff here. As we wrap up, a couple more questions, but you are one of the most grounded people I know. I mean, Garry is one of the most genuine, kind, giving people. You've had phenomenal success. I mean, not just good, not just great, it's phenomenal. How do you stay grounded? Now, I will tell everybody, I have met your wife. I know that's part of it.
Yes.
Over and above family. How do you keep your head? Because it would be so easy for you to have that conceit, and you don't.
Hey, there's a chapter in the book. It's called "Even the Queen Sits Down to Pee," and And it refers to my mum, who lived till she was 99 years and 9 months old. And very, very early in a conversation over a cup of tea with her when she was 85 or so years old, and early in my life, she really said, don't get too big for your boots. You're really here. And, when I was a young lad selling newspapers in Australia, there was an old lady named Mrs. Peel that I used to deliver newspapers to. And the only interaction she really had with the outside world, I think, was me delivering her newspaper for her of an evening. And she'd just always be on the porch and always give me some lollies or candy. And I was like, you know what? If you can just do something for people, there's something about it. So that doesn't say I haven't been cocky sometimes. I have been. I'm guilty. I did have a little bit of owl in me once, but life's a gift. Don't send it back unwrapped. And the older you get, the more you know that it's what you can do for others that's more important than anything else. And as our dear friend Marshall says, the 97-year-old you laying on your deathbed, it'll be the people that are around you are the ones that you've shown love and care for. So
yeah,
I try to be that person. And that's why I'm the dean of dumbassery, because
any dumbass can do it. By the way, a couple of housekeeping things. When you write your 5-star review on Amazon, when you write ass, put a apostrophe or asterisk, because if you use s, they'll kick you out for foul. Your mother would be disappointed in that title, by the way, Gary. Anyway, I'm just
saying. But in Australia, a dumbass is a donkey. I was talking to our friend Ron Carusi the other day. I said, maybe I should have just said any dumb donkey should do it.
Hey, as we wrap up, what's one thing you'd want people to take away from our conversation today? One thing that they should be looking for in your wonderful book?
You can make a positive difference in the world today. And you can do that by building a culture where you can send people home happy, and it's up to you. You can do it. Any dumbass can do it.
And those are words to live by and great words to end up with. The book, again, is Any Dumbass Can Do It, Learning Moments from an Everyday CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. His name is Garry Ridge. He's been a dear friend of mine for years now. Trust me, if you're looking to make a difference and build a wonderful culture, read this book. Go out and buy a little can of WD-40. Leave it on your desk. I do. It's a great reminder that, failures are nothing but learning moments. Gary, you have made such
and before we go, I must also give credit to the marvelous co-writer that I had, Martha Finney, because Martha she took my threads of thought and weaved them into tapestries of learning. So I have to give her all the credit she deserves.
As you should. Hey, listen, thanks for your time, Gary. Thanks for writing this book. Thanks for having such a positive impact on my life and on our work and leadership. You really are a gift. Thank you so much for your time today. Buy the book and buy one for a friend. Anybody can buy one. Buy two. With that,
thanks, Jess.
Cheers, everybody. Have a great week.